Welcome to the tutorial on how to create this gorgeous Easter Bunny initial. Now, if you've got the Pixie&Me kit, the needle we're going to be using from our tube is the sharp tip needle. You'll have two of these as well as a blunt tip. We need the sharp tip one to pierce through our stick and stitch. So we're going to take our garment that we want to do this design on. For me, I'm going to use a denim jacket. I'm just going to cut around my stick and stitch stencil and make sure to keep some of these scraps. You can use them for a later project, draw on them and stitch over them. We're just going to peel the stick and stitch off the backing and place it on your garment where you would like to stitch. Make sure it's nice and central and keep it nice and firmly to the garment. So press it down and make sure it's nice and secure. We're going to start with our daisy, so we need to take a good arm length pull of the yarn that you would like to choose for your daisies, and we're just going to pop it onto our needle. So just pinch between your fingers, or you can use a needle threader. You're going to leave about 5 or 6 centimeters hanging off the end. So we're going to bring our needle up to our starting point, which is the top of this petal here. But we're going to start by bringing our first stitch through the middle section. So we've got a little tail underneath there. We're just going to take it through the middle and bring it down to finish that petal. And then we're just going to do right to left. So we're just going to bring our needle slightly down from the previous stitch, and that'll help give it that more petal curved shape. And we're just going to fill in that little gap there. And then we're just going to go over to the left hand side now, again bringing it down about 1 or 2 millimeters from that middle stitch. And we're just going to pull our yarn through and then take it down again to fill in that petal. So 3 little stitches should be enough here. And then we're just going to carry on and do this for each of the other petals until we have all 5 fully complete. Now once we're here, we're just going to show you how to tie off. So we can do this 2 ways. If you don't like lots of little knots, this way might be more beneficial for you, but it does take a little bit more time. So you're going to take your threaded needle and we're just going to weave it through our work so that it's nice and secure and it won't come undone. I'm just sort of skipping over each one. We're just going a bit like doing a rose really. And I'm just going to do this a few times until I feel happy that it's nice and secure. And then I'm just going to snip away at the end there, and I'm just going to thread on this other little tail that we had and do the same thing, and that way you have no knots. But I will show you also how I like to do it, just with a couple of knots if you are happy with that, or you can use this method as well. Next, I've put onto my needle about 1/2 meter of the white yarn, which is what I want to use to fill inside my flower. Now, usually here I would use a French knot, but I really want this project to be nice and beginner friendly. So if you are a beginner, this might be a better way to fill in your daisy. So we're just going to bring our needle up, leaving a tail underneath again like before, and we're just going to fill it in with a satin stitch. This is pretty much just the similar stitch to what we've just done for our daisy, but we're just going to fill in this middle section. So you can put in as many as you like. If you are wanting to try the French knot, we do have lots of tutorials on how to do that on our YouTube channel. They are a little bit tricky, but with a bit of practice, they can become quite simple. So once I'm happy that I've filled in my daisy with this lovely little satin stitch, I'm just going to flip my garment over, and this is another way you can tie off. So you've got those 2 little ends there. You can just tie them together in a triple knot and snip away the excess. This is a good method to use if you're going to be putting some backing over your garment when you're finished. So that's our daisy all done. We just filled in the other one now, and now we're going to have a look at the roses. So I've put on my needle a good generous arm pull again of, I've gone with the cream color here. I'm going to take my needle to this woven wheel. So I'm going to bring my needle to the top section, leaving a tail underneath, and I'm just going to take my needle into the center. Now we've tried to make this as easy as we can, and we're just going to fill in these legs. So I'm just going to bring my needle to the right now, and again take it into the middle, and we're going to continue like this until this little woven wheel is now ready to turn into a rose. So now we've got 5 little legs. I'm just going to bring my needle up from a starting point, and this can be anywhere. I personally just like to do it top left. So I'm going to bring my needle up. We're just going to use the opposite end of the needle, so the blunt end, and we're just going to go under every second leg. So we've skipped that one. We're going to go under this one. And then we're going to keep going like this all the way around until you'll see a beautiful little rose form and the whole circle is nice and full. So it's just over, under, over, under, over, under, all the way. Everybody in my classes always really enjoy doing the roses because they're so beginner friendly and they look very overwhelming, but they're actually super, super simple. So we're just going to continue like this until our rose is formed, or until you're happy. You can have it as big or as small as you like. And once you're happy that your rose is nice and full, we're just going to take it down and tie it off underneath. So we can flip our garment over now. You'll see you've got 2 little tails that you can tie together in a triple knot. And once you've done this, you can go ahead and do the other 2 roses. Next, I've threaded on a very generous armful of the colour that I'd like to do for the outline of my initial. And for this stitch, we're going to be using the chain stitch. So to do the chain stitch, we're just going to take our needle back down through the hole that we just came up from. You're going to leave a space of around about 1 centimetre, half to 1 centimetre. Wrap your yarn around and pull through. I like to pop my thumb here just to hold it. It just helps keep it nice and neat. And then we're just going to take our needle again back down through that hole that we just created, or that chain we just created, and bring it up again around about half to 1 centimetre in space. And we're just going to pull our needle through once we've wrapped our yarn around it. And we're just going to continue like this all the way. Now, if you find that these videos are not slow enough, we do have one whole video that is very specific to teaching you this stitch. So you can go ahead and find that on our YouTube channel. Actually, I'll link it below on this video, and you can go and practice those stitches if you're feeling they're a little bit overwhelming. But we're just going to continue like this all the way around until we come to the end. And we're just going to anchor that last stitch down. Now, to tie off our chain stitch, we're going to use our threaded needle, and I'm just going to thread back through my work. So I'm just going to do a whip back stitch all the way down and then snip away. You can go as far down as you like. Obviously, the further down you go, the more secure it's going to be. So I'm just going to take this pretty much all the way down until my yarn is almost done, and then I can snip away. I feel quite confident that it's not going to unravel and come apart. And I'm just going to do this with any other loose threads that I have. I'm just going to weave them through my work and then snip away. And I'm just going to finish that chain stitch off with the middle section of this letter A and do the same tie off underneath. Next, we're going to have a look at the bunny ears. Now, I've grabbed my fabric marker and I've marked out little spaces of around about half a centimetre each. You don't have to do this, but it does help keep your back stitch nice and neat. So I've taken a really generous armful again of the white yarn, and I'm just going to go ahead and do a back stitch. And this is a very, very beginner friendly stitch. We're just going to bring our needle back into the previous stitch. So you're just going to take my needle to the next marking point and then bring it back on itself into the previous stitch. So this is a nice, easy, beginner-friendly one. You can use the chain stitch for the ears, but I wanted a little bit of dimension, make it look a little bit different, so I decided to go in with the back stitch to do this, and we're going to do this all the way around now. And to tie off, I'm just going to flip over, and again we're just going to do our whipped back stitch all the way, but this time, because I've got 2 tails there, if you want to make it a little bit easier and you're not so bothered about the little knots, you can bring this tail to your other tail, tie them together in a triple knot. But if you have the time, I would suggest doing the weaving through so that you have minimal knots. And we're just going to repeat this process for inside the ear. And then once we're done that, we can do the same thing on the other ear as well. Next, we're just going to pop onto our needle a very generous armful of the green, and you can pop this pretty much wherever you like. Every initial is going to be slightly different. So for the A, I'm just going to really fill this out with lots of green because personally, I love that sort of florally, foliagey look. So I'm going to pop quite a bit into this one. So for my roses, I like to just do lots of little straight stitches, and I just use the same thread going around pretty much the whole of this floral design. So we're just going to continue like this, just popping little bits of greenery, little straight stitches in wherever you think it fits. Some people like to do a lot, some people only like minimal. It's entirely up to you. But once you're finished, obviously we're just going to bring those two tails together and tie them together in a triple knot. And once you have finished your whole project, it's time to wash away the stabilizer. So we're going to take our garment and run it under cold water, or it can be slightly lukewarm. This stick and stitch can take a little bit to dissolve, so bear with it. You might need to use your hand to just help it along the way. Flat lay to dry, and then you are good to go. I really hope you enjoyed this project, guys. Happy stitching!